God bless and shalom. This is part 2. What assumptions do people make about you when they find out you're a veteran? That I want to be thanked for my service. I have talked to a few combat veterans who feel the same. I'm not speaking for all other veterans, only myself. But I have heard from other veterans that they do not feel comfortable when they are being thanked for their service. Did you feel supported by your leadership during your time in service? No, absolutely not. I have explained why in the first few questions. It was because the people in command failed me, and it felt like the government failed me too. Did your military service affect your relationships with family and friends? Overall, my personal military service affected everything in my life. Relationships, friendships, relationships with family members, and even my own kids. It has affected so much that I can't even list it all. I have become very introverted as I have aged, and I used to be very outgoing. Were there other women around you during your service, or were you often the only one? There were a few other women in my office and some others in the unit I was in. There were probably about 30 people who worked in the shop I was assigned to, and only about 10 of us who were women. Only 4 of us were military, and the others were Okinawan nationals. I remember someone saying the ratio of men to women is 1 woman to every 10 men. That felt like a larger number when I was in, to be honest with you. It felt more like for every 15 men, there was 1 woman. It was very uncomfortable sometimes. What were the biggest misconceptions you had about the military before joining? That they were going to protect me and have my back. I thought that if something happened to me and I made a report about it, that it would be thoroughly investigated and that it would be a slam dunk case. But there was evidence that was tampered with and thrown out, and there was a lot of covering up of my case during and after service. It took me 23 years to get the benefits owed to me, partly because of them misdiagnosing me, seemingly on purpose. Have you experienced any challenges with getting the VA benefits or services you need? As stated above, it took me 23 years to get the benefits I deserve, and I am still trying to get my educational benefits, and I have been out for 25 years. The VA treat us like a number most of the time. No one seems to care. Did your service impact how you view yourself as a woman? My service and the incidents I endured made me feel shame, guilt, remorse, and embarrassment. I felt self-conscious and had low self-esteem for so much of my life. I felt like everyone would have been better off if I had never enlisted, and at times I felt that it would be better off if I didn't exist. I know that not to be true now. I have found God. Have you faced any unique struggles as a female veteran that your male counterparts haven't? I have found that there are very little agencies that are specifically tailored to assisting female veterans. I found that when I was looking for a bed in a shelter, that there were very few female beds, and the ones that there were full, or so they said. I was blessed enough to get a bed when I showed up to the shelter in person because of being a veteran, but the ones that I contacted over the phones said they didn't have any or they were full. There isn't a lot of awareness about MST and females with PTSD. Luckily, they are starting to implement things for female veterans at some of the VAs to make things better for us, our treatment. Do you talk openly about your service, or do you keep it private, and why? I tend to talk openly about it and most things in my life. I like to share my testimony because I have had such an eventful life, and I know my story could help many others like myself. I don't volunteer info about having experienced sexual assault to anyone unless it's another person who is or has gone through something similar and they want advice or to know they are not alone. I used to tell people that I got out of the military because I was pregnant, but the reality is that I got discharged. They basically politely kicked me out. There was another female who this same person essayed. Basically, he did the same thing that he did to me to another female. And they said that she and I were a couple and that we were quote unquote conspiring to have a staff NCO demoted or discharged. So they discharged her dishonorably and gave me a general discharge, which is now honorable. But they have made me fight to get everything that I was rightfully entitled to when I got out of the service. What would you like civilians to understand better about female veterans? That we matter too. A lot of women have had a lot worse than I experienced, and that makes my heart heavy. I do know that the women who I know who enlisted are some of the most loyal, strong, thoughtful, caring, loving, honest people that I have ever met, with the most integrity as well. Also, when men talk about the women who serve and make it seem like they are easy and or get around, but they don't talk about how they sometimes force themselves on the girls or get them really good and drunk. Not all of the guys are bad, but there are always a few bad apples. Females need more protection while in service and more assistance when getting out of the military. And that's all for part 2. God bless and shalom.